Hello, and you're with Right Bites TV, and my name is Sam Pirazzolo. I am your host, and once again we're speaking to Mike Reilly, a fellow Staten Islander, and Bobby Zahn, who's also a fellow Staten Islander. And we have two topics we're going to talk about here, and one is the new EZPASS system on the Verrazano Bridge, how people are going through the tolls and they have a low balance on their EZPASS tag, and it seems that they're being fleeced by the government as far as collecting their tolls. And Mike Reilly will be more than happy to fill us in on some details there.
Thanks, Sam. So originally, cashless tolling started on the U-Carry, as we know, the Battery Tunnel, right? The Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. Back in March and April, my brother was going through the HLC, as it's known now, and had no idea. Turns out that he had a low balance on his EZPASS account, right? But he went over the Verrazano Bridge. Some days he had to pay. Some days he had his EZPASS, right? So he received these bills, and he got them. They were dated April 31st and June 1st. Turns out they came in 5 separate orange envelopes, and it said final notice. If you don't pay, you don't respond to this, it's going to collections.
For one violation?
It was a total of 22 violations. So it was a total of $184 of tolls, but he got $2,200 in fines.
But Mike, I've had a low balance on my EZPass before, and when you go through the toll, it says low balance.
Unfortunately, with cashless tolling, when they got rid of the toll booths and those levers that go up when you cross,
right,
there's no more sign that says low balance.
Really?
Oh, that's true.
So if you don't use the computer, if you don't go online and have an account, you don't realize it, right? If you don't check your EZPass. Now, is there some fault of the person, like my brother? Yeah, maybe, because he didn't check his balance or whatever, right? But my issue, and I think a lot of people, because I've heard from at least 3 or 4 that this happened to, is that the MTA, Bridges and Tunnels, and EZPass didn't send the first 2 required notices. So under the law, you're supposed to get 2 notices and pay them.
So I guess that takes the place of the little sign that says,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, but by the time you receive that notice, you could have driven back and forth 3 or 4 days to work.
Yes, and that's the issue, that they didn't send the first letters. Then they finally sent.
So they didn't send them at all?
At all. At all.
Wow.
He did not receive any of them.
Wow.
And 2 other people that I've been in contact with via Facebook that also posted about it, they didn't get the first 2 letters either. So what happens is it gets sent to collections if you don't answer that final notice, right? So we did answer the final notice. I helped him. He called EZPass customer service. They said, write a letter and submit payment for the toll, and it'll be expunged. I did that. I wrote it for him. I mailed it out June 14th with the check. July 4th, he receives a letter from the collection agency, not for the tolls, but for the fines.
But I'm
$2,200 in fines.
I'm very confused.
That's almost as bad as having a big T on your lawn.
Yes.
Wow, yeah, that's right. $200 cheaper. That's right. Yeah.
So what does a person do?
I'm very confused. Hold on a second. I want to go back to this. Did he not have a license plate? I thought that was the beauty of cashless tolling. They pick up your license plate and they send you a bill. If you're from Idaho and you don't have an EZPass, they just send you a bill to your house.
Great point, Bobby, because unfortunately, if you have EZPass trumps, no pun intended, the license plate cashless toll bill.
Get out of here.
When I reached out to EZPass for him, and I said, well, why didn't you send a bill just like for somebody that doesn't have EZPass?
So basically, just like in the last segment, if you're a citizen with an account that has EZPass and you're someone who doesn't have an account, the account holder is going to get banged twice as hard.
Twice as hard?
Because he should have checked it, where the other person without an account is just going to get a bill in the mail for whatever the toll is.
It's $100 a crossing plus the toll.
Plus the toll. So
that's not twice as hard.
So the toll was $8.50. So each time he crossed that he had a low balance and they didn't let him know. And the reason why he had a low balance is because he had an issue with his debit card. And the bank issued a new card and he forgot to change it on the account. So he got hit with $100
Well, that's going to happen to everybody.
$108.50 for each one.
So you know what the lesson here is, right?
EZPass doesn't pay to have, maybe.
Well,
right?
the lesson here is that a government big enough to give you everything that you want is big enough to take everything that you have.
So here's an idea for you.
I got something.
There's more?
Worse. There's more. Hold on. So I reached out to a couple of our representatives, and I do have to say that.
Do you want to say names?
Yeah, Assemblyman Michael Cusick's office reached out to me.
Do you want to say the names of those who didn't?
No.
Well, that would just be everybody else.
Yeah. So Assemblyman Michael Cusick reached out.
For those of you in Rio Linda.
And he actually, his office, contacted the MTA. They helped us rectify it. So my brother's going to clear that up. They told him to pay $170, and those fines are...
So what's the $170 for?
We don't know what that's for.
Was that gratuity?
I don't know.
Is that the 18% tip on the $2,200?
So here's an idea for you, Mike.
But wait, but it gets worse. So after Assemblyman Cusick's office contacted me back, I emailed them back and said, well, thank you for your assistance in this, but I do have to say I think this is a bigger issue. So they look further into it. How about if you're a victim of identity theft, and you know how when your cards get stopped by the bank for the investigation, if that's the card you're using on your EZPASS, you're still getting hit for that $100 fine.
Wow.
And that's of no fault of your own. So you're not only getting hit while you're down, you're getting clobbered over the head.
You know, sometimes it seems that you could go through a neighborhood and walk past the Crips and the Bloods and have a better chance of getting past them with money in your pocket than you do when you deal with the government.
Passing a body of water on Staten Island.
I mean, this is, and listen, easy. We knew that this was, many people assumed that there were going to be some issues with the cashless tolling rolling out, and we're starting to see it. Just like the new EZPass tags with the HOV, just for the Verrazano for Staten Island residents with 3 people in the car. I went through it on June 18th, coming back from the Brooklyn Cyclones game with my wife and kid. That has not been credited to my account.
Yeah, how do they know that you have 3 people in the car?
They're using cameras, and supposedly they have the technology to do it.
Well, come on, Jimmy Otto wants to put cameras in the HOV lanes to determine if there are 3 people in
Yeah,
the
well,
car.
you know what? They do know how to put some very good cameras in the HOV lanes, the bus lanes, in
they'll
front
put
of
a camera
schools.
you know where if they
yeah,
get paid for it.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So listen, Mike, you write a lot of legislation, so here's an idea for you. Why don't we have a 2-way EZPass tag? So we have the one with the switch for 3 people or more. Why don't we have one that if there's a low balance, your tag beeps? And then when you hear your tag beep, you know that you have a low balance. And it gives you the opportunity.
And you know that HOV, when you switch it on and off, when you turn it on, it beeps. So you know that it's on.
There you go.
That's a great idea.
So what we need is an interactive tolling.
Yeah. Or, you know what? How about we do everything else by text messaging? Let me sign up for a text message alert. Send me a letter saying that I went through 22 times.
Yeah, they have the email.
You don't send a letter until it's final notice with a big orange envelope.
Well, that's like the IRS. You know, they like to tell you 3 or 4 years later, so they let the fees and the penalties and the interest add.